it was some type of problem with that first video I had done, so I'm just gonna redo it. We are coming to you live outside the Winnebago County courthouse, Winnebago County jail, rather. Again, I'm not sure what exactly. It was some type of audio issue with the first video. It was a problem with the person posting that first video I had done, so I'm gonna just redo it. So it started off a little bit after at 8:30 with the judge saying, he introduced everybody as I went through the whole initial process. But then he would say, before he brought the jury in, matter of fact, he would excuse the jury, and then he would call the bailiff into the back. And at that point in time, only for a short period of time, only about like a minute, 30 seconds, he would say that to open court, he would say to the people in the public in the gallery, he would say that he has smelled the overwhelming smell of cannabis that is, this is a quote from him, overwhelming smell of cannabis that is bothering me so much this smell, that my eyes have begun to water. He then told the bailiffs not to let anybody in who smells like cannabis, and to confiscate any items that smell like cannabis. He was saying that there are going to be no distractions at all, and sensory distraction is a distraction, and he cannot be in the same room as cannabis. I don't know. Maybe he allergic. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he just the all white man. I don't know. But he bans cannabis smelling items from his courtroom. And then it began with opening statements. The jury got let back in. It began with opening statements. The state's attorney went first. And again, I know I went through this with the first video, so a lot of this might be repeat, but bear with me. I'm not sure what exactly happened with that video. It began with the state's attorney's opening statements, and the first part really had nothing to do with the facts of the case. I'm not sure why they said this. But it began with the state's attorney saying that life can be complicated, and the state's attorney gave the example of it can be complicated such as trying to find the perfect gift for your loved ones. Again, I'm not sure what any of this has to do with the case. The next thing the state's attorney would say is life can also be simple, and he gave the example of enjoying spending time around your family and seeing them open up new presents and things like that. Not really sure what any of that had to do with the case. Maybe he was just trying to buy some goodwill with the jury or something. I'm not sure. He would move on into, he would say, and then this case. You will hear testimony about sidewalk chalk. Vulgar words that are written in sidewalk chalk. And then you also hear from the witnesses from Kyle Marge Bevers that Leslie followed them and screamed vulgar, disgusting words. Then he said, you'll also hear from Matthew Williams, who would testify that that Leslie continued to scream inches from Kyle and Marge Bevers' face. And he would say that the state's attorney would wrap this all up by saying, and you will watch this all because the defendant recorded the video. And then from that point, the defense would stand up and make their own opening statements. They would say, today you are going to hear a story. Excuse me. Today you're going to hear a story about a man who was trying to be a voice for those who do not have one. And he would say that chalk is part of that message. Chalk is trying to be that voice. Chalk is trying to spread this message. And then he would say that Kyle and Marge would come to this area specifically to wash away this message. Specifically to wash away this chalk, rather. And his client, he would say, my client was being upset because they are trying to literally wash away his message, the message that he is trying to spread. He would also move on to say that Kyle and Marge had opportunities to leave but they did not leave. And he would also say that, in fact, not only did they not leave, when they had plenty of opportunity to leave, they also tried to engage Leslie in conversation. And from that point, the state's attorney got a call, their first witness. And their first witness was Kyle Bevers. Kyle Bevers was sworn in. He was asked to ask some basic background information. He was asked how old he was. He said he was 72. He asked how long he'd been in Rockford. He said 40 years. Then he was asked where he was at on August 13th. Does he remember where he was at on August 13th? Does he remember an incident that happened on August 13th? And Kyle Bevers would say, yes, he had an incident on August 13th. And yes, he remembers where he was at on August 13th. And he would, the state's attorney would ask where he was at. And Kyle would answer him saying, what would he say? Kyle would answer him saying, he was in downtown Rockford, the 300 to 400 block of East State Street. The state's attorney would then ask what he is doing in that area, Kyle Bevers would say he was power washing away chalk. He had a power washer and he was washing away chalk. The state's attorney would ask, why? Why did you wash away the chalk? Kyle would respond saying the words that was written were terrible and offensive, not good for the children. He kept calling it a festival. I'm not sure why, but the thing that he was referring to, the big event that he was referring to, was 815 Day. I don't know how many of y'all know, but they got a big rollout for 815 Day during City Market. They got roll out the entire City Market and got different spots, pop-up shops and different things. I don't know. They got a whole big rollout. But he kept calling this event a festival. He kept calling 815 Day a festival. And he said that not only was these terrible and offensive words that weren't good for children, he would then say that they were negative about Rockford and racist statements. Negative remarks about Rockford and that they were racist statements. Again, this is a 72-year-old white man that came out to wash away this chalk. And he calling these words racist. The chalk ran down as racist. He would then say that, the state's attorney would ask, what happened next? Was something that happened to you? Was there an incident that occurred while you were power washing away this chalk? And Kyle Bevers would say that, yes, we were approached by people who were yelling and screaming, who clearly disagreed with what they were doing. The state's attorney, would ask, who's we? You said we in that statement. Who is the we that you are referring to? And Kyle responded with saying, my wife, Marge Bevers. The state's attorney would then ask, did Marge assist you in any way? Did she assist you in power washing away the chalk? And Kyle would say, yes, she would assist in power washing away the chalk, that she would help her out with the cord, and at times power wash it away herself. At that point in time, what did he ask next? The state's attorney asked, how was a power washer attached to your vehicle? Kyle would respond saying it is on a two-wheel trailer. And the state's attorney would ask, how long is the hose? And Kyle would respond with it being somewhere between a 20 through 25-foot hose. And then again, the state's attorney asked him about this group that engaged in him. This group was approached by these people. Kyle would say that they were yelling at us and using racial slurs. Saying that somebody is a racist, again, correctly identifying somebody as a racist is not a slur, it's not a crime, it is not anything that anybody should be punishable under. Calling somebody a racist is just telling the truth. Correctly identifying somebody as a racist is just telling the truth and not a crime that you can be punished for. That is definitely not no racist slur. And then at that point, the state's attorney would ask, is there anyone who engaged you primarily? Is there anyone who engaged you out of that group? Is there anyone who stood out? Kyle would say yes. The next thing Kyle would say, my fault. The next thing the state's attorney would ask is, would you be able to recognize that person today? And at this point, Kyle say it was unclear to me. He either said probably or possibly. He definitely didn't say yes. He said probably or possibly, but I could not hear him well. But he said one of those two words. And then at that point in time, the judge ordered everybody to take their mask off. And the state's attorney asked the judge, the state's attorney asked Kyle if he recognized that person in here today. Does he recognize that person who primarily confronted him in the courtroom today? And Kyle said yes, and he identified Leslie. And it is at that point in time, I didn't talk about this in this first video. I was debating on whether or not I should or not. It was at that point in time, before he asked, my phone, let me put this back in the car. It was at that point in time that I would put my mask back on. Because the identification process was over at that point, because there was no need for me to have my mask down at that point. And then from that point in time, the judge, after the state said, I didn't get to hear what the state's attorney's next question was, because the judge began to yell that I need to take my mask down, and that I never had my mask down, and I never put it down. That's what he would began to yell. And at that point in time, I'm trying to explain to him that I did put my mask down, that I did take my mask down, and they basically don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear nothing from me. And the bailiff come over, and he's telling me that I need to take my mask down, and I'm still trying to explain to him that I did take my mask down. I took my mask down when he said to take my mask down. I did everything y'all said that you told me to do. I did everything y'all told me to do. But again, they just talking over me. They're not trying to hear nothing. They're not trying to hear. They're just yelling that I never put my mask down, that I never did it at all. And at that point in time, I began to get angry because I'm being wrongfully accused in a trial that isn't even mine. As a part of the gallery, I'm being wildly accused by a judge that is by a judge that I have court under next week. At that point in time, I began to get angry because of these false allegations and accusations. And so the judge tells me that I never put the mask on, that I'm being, what did he say? That I haven't been following the rules, that I've been disrespectful to the court, and that I'm banned from the courtroom. I need to leave the courtroom. I can no longer be in the courtroom. And at that point in time, I'm pissed. There's no real reason why I should have been kicked out of that courtroom at all. I followed the rules to the T. I did everything that was asked of me. There was no reason for me to be kicked out of that courtroom. So I get up and I go, leave, and I make it down to the stairs. I make it down to the first floor, rather, and it's a line of sheriffs. It's a line of sheriffs waiting for me. And they tell me that I can't leave. And the judge want to see me again. And so I'm still angry. I'm still pissed because of this unjust action. I'm still angry and upset with this. So I go upstairs, go back into the courtroom, and the judge, at this point, the jury had been dismissed. And the judge said that I had made a remark upon leaving about fascism, or something like that. And that I was banned from the courtroom for the next 24 hours. So at this point in time, I'm thinking, fuck it. I was already trying to leave. Why did you even bring me back into this courtroom? I was already trying to leave. Why did you need to just tell me that I can't be back in this courtroom anymore? Why did you need to It felt like he just needed to put his stamp on it. He just wanted to exert any type of power that he had. So that was this whole thing was some type of power trip to get me out of that courtroom. So I'm pissed, and I believe rightfully so. It was an unjust action. I shouldn't have been banned from the courtroom. I shouldn't have been kicked out because I followed the rules, because I did not want this to happen. Because I did not want that to happen, I followed this to happen, me to be kicked out. I followed the rules. At that point in time, he would tell me that I'm banned for the next 24 hours, and I would attempt to leave the courtroom. And again, similar to how there was a wall of sheriffs, there was now a wall of bailiffs that was blocking the door that would allow me to leave the courtroom. And I'm pissed. I'm frustrated. I'm angry about this unjust action. And I'm trying to talk to the bailiffs. Like, he told me to leave. I'm trying to leave. Can you get the fuck out the way? I want to leave. And they tell me that I can't leave, and the judge must have heard me say fuck or goddamn or something like that, because at that point in time he would yell and say that I'm being held in contempt, that I've been talking over him, I can't talk over him, and all this other. I wasn't paying attention to what he said. So then they put me in this back room, and I'm back in there, and I can hear bits of the trial. I can hear the video getting played, and I can hear, that was all I was really able to hear was the video getting played. We do still have other people in that courtroom, so as soon as other people come out, we'll be able to update you with new information. But this is all the new information that we have at this point, at this moment. So I'm being held in contempt, and I'm waiting in there. I'm talking to the bailiffs. I'm telling them, I did everything y'all said. I followed the rules. I took my mask down when he said take my mask down. The identification process was over, so I put it back up. Had I known that y'all was going to make me sit in a room with, I don't even know, 30 people who don't have a mask on for a prolonged period of time, I'm not going to wear that mask. Or I'm not going to even come into the room, rather. So then at that point, maybe about 10, 15 minutes go by, and another bailiff comes in and says, the judge wants to talk to you. And the bailiff is trying to tell me that I need to be respectful, that I need to follow the rules of the court. Now I'm telling the bailiffs that one has a moral obligation to disobey unjust laws. If an unjust action is done to me or done to anybody I know or is in my sight, or that I'm made aware of, I have the right to respond to that unjust action. I don't have no guilty conscience. So I go back into the courtroom, I stand in front of the judge, and the judge asked me, first the judge said why I was held in contempt. He said that I made a remark about fascism when I was kicked out of the courtroom first. And in all reality, I probably did make that remark about fascism, because, again, like I had stated earlier, correctly identifying somebody as racist or correctly identifying somebody as a fascist is not a punishable crime. It's truth-telling. That's all it is. It's all it is. If you're going to throw me in jail because you did a fascist action and I responded to your fascist action by correctly identifying you as being a fascist, go ahead, I'll do that time. I don't got no guilty conscience. I'll do that time. So he bring me back in the courtroom, and he run me through why I was kicked out. He said that he's trying to make it seem like I had just done this with my mask during the process. That's really how he tried to make it seem, like I had just done this. And he said that he gave the rules early on in court that nobody can speak, and that I spoke. I made the remark about fascists, and that I also swore when I was banned, and for that reason I was held in contempt. Then he would ask me if I would like to make any type of statement or statement about the case, statement about being held in contempt. And I say yes, mainly because I'm not sure. I ain't never been held in contempt before. I'm not really sure how that worked. I wasn't sure, so I just made this statement. And the first thing I say is just to tell the truth. That's the first thing I do, is tell the truth. That I had the mask on until I took the mask off when you told me to take the mask off. I told them I was a high risk for COVID. Family members of mine were a high risk for COVID. And if I knew that he was going to make around 25, 30 people take their mask off in a room for a prolonged period of time, I wouldn't have stepped foot into that courtroom. And then he, after I say that, he asked if I have any other statements or allocutions. And I said, and I just repeated myself. I repeated everything that I said. And at that point in time, he asked me if I have anything to say about the loudness or the swearing. And I tell him no, that I put my mask on. When I was told to put my mask on, I took it off when I was told to take it off. And I didn't disrupt anything. I was trying the best that I could to not be disruptive at all. So he would ask me, the next question he would ask me was if I would like to apologize for the language and for the loudness. And I told him no, absolutely not. Why would I apologize? Why, in that moment, all I said was no. But in that moment, why would I apologize to him? Especially if I did nothing wrong at all. He don't deserve my apology. He was not wronged. He wronged me. He violated me. Why am I apologizing to somebody if they beat my ass? Why am I apologizing to somebody because they decided to put me in cuffs? Why would I apologize because somebody in a position of power exerted their power unnecessarily upon me? Why would I apologize? So at that point in time, the judge asked if I got anything else to say about if I don't want to apologize, if I got anything else I want to say, any statements or allocutions that I'd like to make, and about the loudness. And I said, no, I responded to an unjust action. I believe I responded to an unjust action. And the judge asked, anything else? And I said, no. He was just waiting. Honestly, I feel like if I was to apologize, if I was to have been to that, he would have let me stay in that courtroom. But again, I don't have nothing to be sorry for. I had nothing to apologize for. So we do got more people coming out of the courthouse right now. So, well, I try to talk to them and provide y'all some updates from the case. After he talked to him, after I told him no, I don't have any other statements or allocutions I'd like to make, he said that I would be banned from the courthouse for the next 48 hours. So for the next 48 hours, I cannot step foot in this building for any reason. Really, it just felt like he was playing it safe and trying to make sure that for the entire duration of Leslie's trial, that I could not be in that courtroom anymore. So that concludes my information with today. I'm going to be talking to some more people who was in the courtroom and provide provide updates when we can. Day 432. We outside.